Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Quartet Lesson 2, Part 1 live stream. Tonight we're going to be covering the formal te form, teiku and te kuru, a different form of those, shikanai,ことにする, and ki expressions, or expressions with ki, pun is intended 100% there. Tonight, I just wanted to remind you guys that if you have general questions about Japanese, or maybe a different part of the lesson, or just a question in general, please mark it in chat with this question : then your question. For question time, when we go over, we ask you a question and then you answer it, use Q time : followed by your answer, so it's easier for us to see what you said. All right, these are the colors we're going to be using in the quartet lessons. We've got light blue for the grammar section points, and these are the colors for any vocabulary that does not show up in quartet yet, marked by their JLPT colors. We've got, these colors. But before we jump into everything and say hello to everyone, you know I've always got to do this first. This is the ToKini Andy website. Here we have lessons on Genki 1, 2, and Quartet. Right now, if we jump into the Quartet course, which is included in the $10 per month membership to this website, we've got vocabulary videos, we've got the stream cuts, we've got bonus grammar sentence videos, which allow you to shadow Yuki's Japanese and repeat after it. And there's extra sentences that aren't in these live streams that I go into a little bit more detail on, so you can get a little bit further into each of these grammar points. I've also got sections to help you track whether you're getting the readings or workbook done. If you come in here, click on readings and say, hey, I'm done with this one, mark as complete. And it says, good job, move on to the next one. Mark that as complete. Then if we jump out into the Quartet 1 section, we see I've completed 3 out of 18 lessons, and I can pop out to my courses, and that shows up here as getting slowly finished with that. In the Genki lessons, we have vocabulary videos, grammar stream cuts, bonus sentences and grammar, textbook practice, listening and shadowing practice, and all of the tests for both Genki 1 and 2, as well as links and extra resources. So there's tons of stuff on the ToKini Andy website, so please check that out. If you get a chance, how is it going, everyone? It's good to see you tonight. Let's go ahead and say hello to everyone in chat. We've got Come to Japan Dan, my trusty mod. Thank you so much for being here, man. Happy Father's Day. Space Certus, hello. Pitovnikov, Lynn, Carpe Diem, Konnichiwa, Felipe. Found it. I'm assuming he says he found the brush-up section in the back of Quartet. I don't know if you guys knew that existed. You should check it out. Daniel Tay discovered me 2 weeks ago. I'm glad to hear that it was helpful, man. Thanks for stopping by to let us know. Pita, konnichiwa. Michael, does Quartet include most of Joyo kanji? I don't think it does, actually. There's a lot. There's like 2,000 something. I don't think Quartet covers everything. Chris Lane, Gangkilla, Dead Sally. I guess I'll have to power through, although the reading seems too complicated at first. In the end, it's a great exercise. I agree. Powering through the readings is a very important part of Quartet. There's me and Yuki, and I think I've got everyone. I think that's everyone. So good to see you guys. Thanks for being here tonight. And let's check out this poll that I ran a few minutes ago. I asked, what book are you on? And we have 31 votes so far. 35% of you are on Quartet 1. 3% of you, so I guess one of you, is on Quartet 2. Genki 1 is 32%, and Genki 2 is 29%. I'll give you 2 more minutes to vote on that poll, and then I'm going to go ahead and end it. But so much hard work goes into the lesson. Yes, my whole life goes into these lessons. Israel Apilado. Hello, how's it going? Konnichiwa Naikins. How's it going? Good to see you guys. If I missed anyone in chat, I'm very sorry. But if you say something in there, I'll shout you out. It's good to see you guys tonight. We've got a lot to cover, so I'm not going to dilly-dally too long. I'm probably going to jump right into the lesson. But yes, Lopsang Lama Konban, what's up? Konbannichiwa. Good to see you. I voted Quartet, but I'm not on any of them. Fair enough. I think, well, I'm not able to vote. I can't click on anything. So, oh well. Wait. No, I can't click on anything. That just makes it smaller. All right, 36 votes, 33% Quartet 1, 3% Quartet 2, Genki 1, 31%, Genki 2, 33%. All right, let's go ahead and end that poll. Frankie Sanchez, konnichiwa, how's it going? Konbanwas. Konbanwas. Ah, そうだね. Konbanwas. Konbanwas. All right. There are the final results. It looks like Quartet 1 and Genki 2 are in the lead. So hopefully you guys can find this lesson useful tonight. So you ready? Ready to jump into it? Let me get lubed up here. All right, sweet. 32 people here, 20 likes. If you find any of my stuff helpful, please go ahead and hit the like button. That gets this stream out to more people who might be studying Japanese, who can come join us. Maybe they can learn something too. Like button definitely helps. I appreciate it if you smash it. Carpe Diem says, hello, Yuki. How you doing, Carpe Diem? I hope you're enjoying being home. Mios 10. Is there an ebook version of Quartet? It's really difficult to get a physical one where I live. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there is. There usually is. Amazon.co.jp. Quartet 1. Quartet Japanese. Paperback. It looks like there isn't an ebook version option at the moment. I imagine there will be eventually, but I'm not sure about that. It looks like no at the moment though. Plot like a polyglot. Us, how's it going? Smash it, like button, says Lopsig. Thank you. I'm telling you, the Scotch is going to up my mod game. Looking forward to it. All right, I need to stream again. I agree, you do. Quote of the stream, someone clip that. I wonder, is there a clip button down below? There might be a clip button. I feel like people here are able to create clips. I know I can create clips, but anyway, you're welcome to do that if you'd like to make clips of anything in the streams. I don't know how it works, but I'm pretty sure it's possible. I don't think I have to turn anything on. Let's check. Record date. No, you should be able to. Let me know if you can see a clip button below this video. I'm curious. I saw that on someone else's video the other day, and I know I have a clip button here that I can make clips. But anyway, yep, damn, when he said that I spat my tea out. I knew as after I said it. I regretted it immediately. All right, guys, you ready? Let's go ahead and jump into the formal te form, the quote formal te form, and I'll get to why I'm doing quotation marks when I say that in a moment. So, the formal te form is... So, let's go back for a second. So, the te form, you know, can be used to connect multiple sentences together. So, you can take one sentence and connect it to another sentence using the te form like and. Now, this, quote, formal te form is only used for that, okay? You can't use this for te kudasai or te kureru or things like that, right? This is only the te form that is used as and. Now, Quartet makes it out to be the formal version of te, and that's not quite right. You can actually use the te form and this together, and I'll get to in some of the example sentences how you can do that and why you might do that. But the grammar dictionaries actually point out that this is more of a written form. It's not so much formal. Like, you're not necessarily going to use this in formal situations. It's just you're more likely to see it in writing than you are hear it in spoken conversation. So that's why some people seem to think of it like it is formal and why Quartet presents it as formal. The thing is that a lot of the example sentences in Quartet and just around, they're actually sentences that end in short form. So I feel like that's going to be confusing to a lot of people because they'll be like, well, why is this the formal te form, but it ends in a short form, which means that it's casual. And that's why, because it's not actually formal. It's a written form, generally speaking, although some people do use it in conversation from time to time. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. It's mostly written, and it's the and version of the te form. And yeah, that's the main thing I want to get across from this portion of the lesson. So let's go ahead and take a look at how to make it. So first we have verbs that are in the te form. If we want to make the, quote, written te form, I'm going to call it the written te form from now instead of the formal te form. We just take the mas stem, and that's it. It's just the mas stem. That is it. All you need is the mas stem. You just end the first sentence with that, and it acts just like the te form. That means and. Then you have the next sentence after it, and you end that however you see fit. If you were using te iru, so te ite, right? Te ite, a verb in the present continuous te form, you would change that to te ori. So, for example, tabete ori is the same as tabete ite and something something, right? Oops, sorry. Now, the book throws in with these the the naide version of this. So, tabenaide something something, which means without doing this, I did this, right? And it combines these together, which I can see why they do it because naide is basically the negative te form. But there's the difference here is that for this form, this more formal form, this one's not necessarily written. This one is actually used in conversation quite frequently. So to make this more quote formal version of naide, we take the nai stem of a verb and add zu ni. So for example, if we just use taberu, it's just tabezu ni. So without eating, I did something. I feel like tabezu ni emphasizes the fact that I didn't do this a little bit more than tabenaide. Perhaps it's a little bit more polite, but I feel like it's a little bit more emphasizing than naide. And it's in conversation all the time. This is not necessarily a written form. Shinaide is here because it's just slightly different than the regular naide one. If you were to make this zu form, you just say sezu ni. So benkyou sezu ni something something. So without studying, something something, right? Now, adjectives, you can also use their te form to connect sentences or other adjectives together. So for example, tanoshikute, something something, right? Well, to use the quote the written form of this, or the more formal form, you just cut the te. So it would be tanoshiku, something something. And you'll see lots of examples in the example sentences that'll make this make a little bit more sense, I feel like. So let's go ahead and jump into the example sentences to sort of give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. Our first one is, 私は学校に勤め、ユキはうちで働いています。So here you can see the te form, if we were to use the regular te form of this, would be 私は学校に勤めて、ユキは家で or うちで働いています。I'm working at a school and Yuki works at home. So this is it's just and. And if you were to see this sentence, it would be most likely in writing. I'm probably not going to say this, even in a formal situation. Even in a formal situation, I'd probably say, 私は学校に勤めて、ユキはうちで働いています。That's probably what I would say. I wouldn't shorten it to this. It's more of a written form. Next sentence. 材料を混ぜ、オーブンを100度に設定して、混ぜた材料を入れます。Mix the ingredients, set the oven to 100 degrees, and then put in the ingredients you mixed. Now, here we've used this quote written form as well as the te form. You can do this. This is actually something that will happen from time to time. And the grammar dictionary sort of explains this as if you're giving steps in a process in which one step needs to be finished first before the next step can happen, you need to use the regular te form. Now, the reason I don't need to use the regular te form for the first part, 材料を混ぜ、オーブンを100度に設定して is because I don't necessarily need to mix the ingredients before I turn the oven on. It doesn't, like, turning the oven on is not dependent upon me mixing ingredients. So that doesn't matter. But if the next step is dependent on the step before, apparently you're supposed to use the te form instead of this written form. Whether or not people actually follow that rule all the time in real life, I suppose, I'm sure they don't. I'm sure people make mistakes with this all the time. On ingredients, like on recipes, most of the time it's the short form. I'm not sure if they are always combined this way, if the next step is dependent on the previous one. So like putting the stuff in the oven is dependent on setting the oven to 100 degrees first. So here we have to use the te form because the next one is dependent. Whether or not in the recipe they would actually follow that grammatical rule, I don't know. But in the dictionary, it points it out that way. Quartet doesn't mention this. I just thought I'd mention it to you. You'll see these combined sometimes, okay? But they mean the same thing, right? 混ぜて、オーブンを100度に設定して、混ぜた材料を入れます。That would be the same. So you could use just the te form in both of them, or you could probably just change this to 設定し、混ぜた材料を入れます would probably be okay, but someone might be picky about it if it was in your writing. All right, here we have a te iru. So te ite is what would have been there in a regular conversational form. Let's check the sentence. 友達は外国に住んでおり、最近あんまり話す機会がありません. So once again, it's always going to be just the and te form, right? It's never going to be the one where, what was I going to say? Te kara or like and then. It'll never be that te form. Sometimes te form can be and then. So I do this and then do that. It's just the regular and combining two different sentences, right? Sorry if that's a little confusing. 友達は外国に住んでおり. The regular form of this would be 友達は外国に住んでいて最近あんまり話す機会がありません. 機会 is opportunity, so I don't have many opportunities to speak with them recently. My friend is living abroad and we don't have many opportunities to speak recently. We have two sentences here with the zu form. 食べずに仕事に行きました. I went to work without eating. Now, the regular form of this would be 食べないで仕事に行きました. I went to work without eating. This one is not necessarily written form. I would probably say this one, honestly, more than 食べないで仕事に行きました. I would prefer to say 食べずに仕事に行きました. Even in conversation. I like using zuni actually quite a bit. Especially when I want to emphasize the fact that I didn't do that thing a little bit more than the part that I did do. Like 食べずに仕事に行きました puts the emphasis way onto 食べる, the fact that I didn't eat, as opposed to the emphasis being on 仕事に行きました. So same with the next sentence. 勉強せずにテストを受けた. So yeah, the zu comes after the nai stem of a verb. So for example, if it was a regular godan verb, let's think of one. Sunde is a godan verb. So sumu, suma nai de. So sumazu ni is how you would make this for that. Sumazu ni shigoto. It would be something else after the sentence. But anyway, 勉強せずに suru becomes せずに 勉強せずにテストを受けた. I took the test without studying. And of course, the regular version of this would have been 勉強しないでテストを受けた. Okay, I've got a couple more examples. We've got an adjective down here and some other stuff, so I'll get into more examples in the dialogue. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Last week, Yuki got mad at Andy because... Why did Yuki get mad at Andy again? Something about Ando-san. Because... Ando-san got mad at Andy because he told Yuki that he was angry at him or something. I don't know. Yuki went out drinking with Ando-san instead of Andy, and Andy wasn't invited. That's what happened. Okay. 飲まずに書いた. なんで? 安藤さんはもう酔っ払ってたんだよ。店に着いたらってこと？そうか。まあ、彼は割とお金に気をつけているから、飲みに行く前にちょっと飲むんだよ。お金を貯金し、お酒を楽しく、毎日最高が彼のスローガンらしいよ。なんか、素敵に聞こえるけど、なんかおかしい。Alright, let's read that at full speed. 飲まずに書いた。なんで？安藤さんはもう酔っ払ってたんだよ。店に着いたらってこと？そうか。まあ、彼は割とお金に気をつけているから、飲みに行く前にちょっと飲むんだよ。お金を貯金し、お酒を楽しく、毎日最高が彼のスローガンらしいよ。なんか素敵に聞こえるけど、なんかおかしい。Alright, let's go over the English. We've got 飲まずに書いた. I went home without drinking. This is just the zu form, right? 飲む becomes 飲ま. That's the nai form. 飲まない. You don't have the nai there. 飲まずに書いた. I went home without drinking. なんで? Why? 安藤さんはもう酔っ払ってたんだよ。酔っ払う is to be intoxicated, drunk. 安藤さんはもう酔っ払ってたんだよ。安藤さん was already drunk is why. So that is why is the だ, right? This, the explanation, です。店に着いたらってこと? You mean when you arrived at the shop? So that たら is when you arrived at the shop. 店に着いたらってこと? 着く means to arrive at something, by the way. Yeah. Alright, this is a very long sentence. Let's go through it. そうか、I see. まあ、well, 彼は割とお金に気をつけている。So, 気をつけている is something we're going to go over later in the lesson. It's section 5, so stick around for that if you're interested to learn more about it. But it means to be careful of. In this case, he's being careful of money. Warito means more than you would expect. I probably should have colored this some color. Actually, you know what? It was not in a JLPT, I don't think. It's not listed with Warito. JLPT N2. Okay, so that should have been JLPT N2 color, an orangey color, but don't worry about that. Warito means more than you would expect, is what it means. It's a very useful little word. More than you would expect, he's careful about money. 気をつけている. He's being careful about money. So, から、飲みに行く前に before going to drink, ちょっと飲むんだよ. Explanation, he drinks a little. Now, this is a quotation. お金を貯金し, save money, and お酒を楽しく enjoy alcohol. 毎日最高 every day is awesome. が彼のスローガンらしいよ is his slogan apparently. So that apparently or I hear that save money, enjoy alcohol every day is awesome is his slogan. So let's read that whole thing. I see. Well, he actually is careful about money more than you would expect. So before he goes drinking, he drinks a bit, you know? I hear that save money, enjoy alcohol, every day is awesome is his slogan. Very Ando-san. なんか素敵に聞こえるけど、なんかおかしい. Like, it sounds wonderful, but something is weird about it. So, なんか can be used like the American English like. So you just throw it anywhere to be like something, something. But it also means something. So it can actually be used to mean something. So like なんか素敵に聞こえるけど, it sounds wonderful, but けどなんかおかしい. Something is off or something is weird about it. All right, let's jump into question time. Today's question time questions, I don't know if all of them are, I can't remember, but most of them I'm going to be doing in Japanese. If you don't understand what the question is, let us know in chat and I will translate it, but we're going to try to do it in 100% Japanese, okay? So the question is, 今日の自分の行動を説明してください. Here's an example. メールを印刷し、部長にファックスをしました. Fax is usually written in English in Japanese like this. If you type it in Japanese and then press space, it pops up in English as fax. So the question, 今日の自分の行動を説明してください. If you don't know what 行動 means, 行動 means like your activity or what you did, your actions. Ne? That's what that means. 説明 means to explain. 説明してください. And of course, please use the written or formal te form to explain two of those things. All right, here we go. Let's jump into chat and see if I missed anything. Yep. I can't see a clip button. Okay, fair enough. I'm getting there. Yuki still not non-weight bearing, but I'm progressing to crutches now. Congrats. That's good. I'm glad that you're able to use crutches now at least. How about everyone else? No clip button either. Okay, no worries. Every time he takes a drink now, I'm just going to hear him say, your alter ego Ando-san slipped out. Indeed, indeed. I feel like people say that though when they're about to speak. Isn't that like a phrase before people are speaking, or am I just imagining something? So this first lesson just combined various lessons in one. So this first lesson just combined various lessons in one, huh? You mean this first section combined various sections in one? Yes. Question. お酒を楽しく、お酒を楽しみと使うの方が良いのではないでしょうか? So because it's like a slogan, so if you were just saying something, like if you were to say this out loud, what you would probably say is, let's go ahead and jump back up to that quickly. お金を貯金してお酒を楽しんで毎日最高楽しんで you'd probably use the verb 楽しんで but because it's a slogan, so a slogan in slogan in Japanese is the same as slogan in English, right? You don't have a perfect sentence necessarily for a slogan. You have a catchphrase or something that is sort of stylized. So 楽しく is more stylized than 楽しんで, right? So sure, you could do that, but this is a bit more stylized, a bit more slogan-like. ね、お金を貯金し、お酒を楽しく、毎日最高. It sounds dramatic, stylized. That's all. But yes, 楽しく is the adjective, and 楽しんで would probably be what you'd use, the verb, 楽しんで, if you were actually saying something like this out loud. 楽しみ is to look forward to something. So that's not what you would use because you're not looking forward to alcohol, you're enjoying it. So 楽しく飲む or 楽しむ. So to connect it to the next sentence, お酒を楽しんで. Michael, I think どっちでもいいかな. 楽しく is an adjective conjugation, 楽しみ is the verb, 楽しむ conjugation, the meaning's almost the same. I see what you're saying. 楽しみ as in using the verb. I see. Yeah, the reason I wouldn't have used 楽しみ, I see what you're saying there. You were saying why not use the verb 楽しみ, 楽しむ and shorten it to 楽しみます, cut off the mas, and then it's the 楽しむ is the te form of it. Yeah, I see. The reason I wouldn't do that for something stylized like this is because of the same reason that I got confused there, is because it looks like the noun 楽しみ, which is to look forward to something. So it could be confused for that. So that's why I wouldn't use 楽しみ, the verb part there. Okay. But I suppose you could. If you're thinking of it like the 楽しみ as in 楽しみます no 楽しみね. That would work too. But yeah. 楽しく just sounds better. To me at least. 7時に起き、朝ごはんも作った。いいですね. Come to Japan has the first cue time. And that he reaches for... What got me is the O particle. Okay. Yeah, お酒を楽しく飲む might be the full idea. 楽しく飲みます。そうだね。お酒を楽しむ。お酒を楽しく飲む。
make it fun
そうだね。
I enjoy it
そう。
の違いでしょ。だけどこれは多分ちょっとスーパースティション感があるかもしれないけど、かきくけこの方がマミムメモより、インプレッシブだった。
そう。だからやっぱりスタイルって感じだね、結局。Yeah, and in the end, it's definitely a style thing. かきくけこ is more, Yuki was mentioning how in Japanese it's considered more, it gives a better impression than mami mumemo. So generally in like a slogan like this, you wouldn't use mami mumemo. And someone would understand that O particle is, what is implying is you're enjoying drinking it, obviously, right? So 楽しく飲む or 楽しん, so something like that. It's just a stylized slogan using those different points. But yeah, I understand why the O particle would make it a little bit confusing. Sorry about that. But it is correct. Q time. カレーを食べ、日本語を勉強します。Oh, nice. Okay, that's what you're going to do today, right? Okay, perfect. If it's what you did today, しました. Either way is fine though. Perfect. Yeah. Okay, so that brings up a good point. You can do something, you can mention what you already did or what you're going to do. Q time. 歯を磨き、水を飲みます。いいですね。今朝は目覚め、友人とゲームし、ストリームに来ました。ストリームに来ましたね。Pitovnikov. Close. This lesson looks a bit hard so far. It's not that bad. Leveling up, Pitovnikov. ね。Q time. パンケーキを作り、漢字を練習しました。いいですね。Same here, I'm feeling so confused. I'm not intermediate, but is there a difference for iku and kuru, verb for to come, I was watching the Genki Book 1, Lesson 3, and there were these two. Yeah, they have the same difference as go and come in English. So iku means to go, and kuru means to come to me. So basically, iku means going from here to there, and kuru would be coming from there to here. So those are the difference. Actually, the next section is te iku and te kuru. Not the movement ones, but I'll go into it a little bit more there. I'm sorry that this is really confusing, guys. You don't have to, I went into a lot of extra detail. The most important point to note is that it's just the mas stem can be treated like the te form, which is used as and. That's it. That's really it. But I did go into a lot of extra detail because there are a few little points in it. Okay, good job on the question time. I'll give a few more people a chance to catch up. 何かにを勉強しており、朝ごはんも食べました。
あ、オノリフィック。
いいね。
大正、違う。だけど違うと思う。勉強しだ。
そうだね。unless you're still studying 何かに right now, you'd want to say し。勉強し、朝ごはんも食べました because you already finished it, right? しており would imply している, which is the present continuous, which means you're still studying. Yeah. 日本語の配信を見、暗記のテンプレートを飾っている。飾っている? What do you mean so 飾る means to decorate. To decorate like a room. Do you mean you're decorating your template? When you actually, kazaru is kazari is decorations, but to kazaru is to put something up on the wall or something to display it, right? Kazaru. So if you're saying your anki no template wo kazatteru means that you have sort of your template pinned on the wall or something on display. That's what that means. And I doubt that's what you're going for. So let me know. Then Japanese combines them as itte kuru. Yes, itte kuru. I'm going to go and come back. Itte kuru. I'm trying how to call this grammar point we're going through right now so I could Google it later and revise. You could say formal te form. That's what people usually write it as, or written te form. Question. Would we use it in real life, or should we just know it and understand how it works in case we see it in a book? That's the one. You're not going to use it in conversation. You will encounter it in writing. So that's the main point of this. The main point of this section is to recognize it, because unless you plan on writing, if you plan on writing or doing the writing sections, you'll want to use this because it sounds nicer than the te form in writing. So yeah, this is to recognize in writing. But if you don't plan on writing, you don't need to necessarily learn how to use it. You just have to know how to recognize it. Yeah, I just realized kazaru means more of decorating in a physical meaning. Yes, I'm just designing my templates. Okay. Tsukuru is all you need. Anki no template wo tsukutte iru. That's you just go with the basic verb there. Konnichiwa, Prashant. How's it going? All right, guys. Good job on question time. That was great. Could I use 勉強しており? No. No, that wouldn't work. So the reason you're using 勉強しており is because the mas stem of orimas, this is sort of the honorific te oru. I don't know if you remember from towards the end of Genki 2, we did the honorific. Te iru is te oru. And the mas form of that is te orimas. So you cut off the mas and you're left with te ori. I don't know the reason why over time this form became that. All I know is that if you were to say 勉強している, so if you were to say what you're doing now, if you were like to write down what you're doing now and something else, you could use te iru, right? You could say 勉強しており something to suggest that you are studying now. You can use that. What I'm saying is in your situation, because it's in the past, you just use shi. Because what's going to determine the tense of the whole sentence is the final verb in the sentence. So, 勉強し something shimashita. Your final verb was shimashita. So that means it's all in the past tense, right? So the present continuous form would mean that you're still doing it. or not necessarily that you're still doing it, but it's a thing that was going on maybe while you did the other thing. It just wouldn't quite work. Sorry. A situation you would use that, is if you're explaining what you're doing now. 勉強しており、みんなと話しています something like that. I'm studying and talking to everyone. 今勉強しており、みんなと話しています That's the kind of situation that you might use that in. Hey boss, from Nebraska. Happy Prime Day from your local delivery driver. How's it going, Ryan? Good to see ya. Kind of different grammar point. Indeed. All right. You're welcome. Okay. We got a lot to cover tonight, so let's go ahead and jump on to our next section, which is has begun to with te kuru and will begin to with te iku. Now, we already covered te iku and te kuru a long time ago, I believe in Genki 1, and te iku meant to go and do something, and te kuru meant to come and do something, right? Or to go and then come back. Like ite kuru means to go and come back, and te iku means to go and do that thing. This is a different grammar point. This is something completely different. Totally different. Forget about that one for now. And let's talk about this one. So, te kuru means has begun to do something in the past up until now. So, in the past, began to do something and is still doing it up until now. Or is beginning to, do something starting in the past up until now. Generally, you're going to be using verbs that imply change. Quartet has a few examples here. We've got futoru, which means to gain weight, yaseru, which means to lose weight, fueru, which means to increase, heru, which means to decrease, naru, which means to become, and nareru, which means to get used to. There's more, but those are just some examples of verbs that imply change already. Those are the ones that are generally going to be used with te kuru. So for example, futotte kita. Another point here is that te kuru is usually in the past tense because you began to do something in the past. So futotte kita means that I began to gain weight. Futotte kita. So from the past up until now, I began to gain weight. Futotte kita. Te iku implies that you will begin to do something or are beginning to do something now, right? Also with change verbs. So, 痩せていく means I'm going to lose weight or I will begin to lose weight from now into the future. This is an ongoing thing that I'm going to be doing. The non-change verbs, you can use verbs that don't imply change, but you're going to be using them with a grammar point from last time, which is yo ni naru, and you change that to te kuru. So yo ni natte kuru. We'll show some examples later, but for example, you might use the potential form here. 食べれるようになってくる or 食べれるようになってきた. So for example, I never was able to eat natto. I wasn't able to eat natto for my first 2 years in Japan, and then I became able to eat it over time. That's when you would use te kuru. But 食べる or 食べれる does not imply change. So you can't really say 食べれてきた. It doesn't really work. You need to say 食べれる, so the do version of it. 食べれるようになってきた. ようになる means to become generally able to do if you're using it with the potential form. Became able to do something. てくる. So I became able to eat natto over time from in the past. 納豆食べれるようになってきた. And kuru is generally going to be the past tense. If I want to say I'm gonna become able to eat natto を食べれるようになっていく. I'm going to become able to eat natto in the future, starting now. From here on out, I'm gonna go and do this. So it's a little bit confusing. I know it sounds confusing. Let's look at some example sentences. It's not that bad. And it's also very, very, very common. So it's one you're going to want to work on a bit. All right. 日が短くなってきた. The days have begun to get short, haven't they? 日が短くなってきたね. Literally, this means the sun has begun to become short, hasn't it? Now this is sort of, it's not a set phrase, but 日が短くなる. It sounds like the sun has become short. But that's just how people say that the days are becoming shorter. Okay? 日が短くなる means days become shorter. 短くなる. To say 来た, right? It means that the days have begun to get shorter. Oh, like yesterday, it's just getting shorter and shorter over time. If you were to cut off the 来た and say 日が短くなった, it would mean that today the day became short. The 来た means the days have begun to get short. So that have begun is where the 来る, the come part comes in. So 日が短くなって来たね. That 来た is has begun to get shorter. So it's a very important part of the sentence. 最近ちょっとだけ痩せてきた. Recently, I've come to lose just a little weight. So you could also translate that kita as come to do something, right? Recently, I've come to lose a little weight. You could also translate this, of course, as recently, I've begun to lose a little weight. So you don't just suddenly lose weight, right? It happens over time. So at some point in time, I started doing something that made me start losing weight, or from some point in time, I wasn't losing weight, and then I started losing weight, and I've been losing weight from that point up until now, this point in time. 痩せてきた. I've come to lose a little weight, or I began to lose a little bit of weight over time. Okay, next one is ていく. So begin to increase opportunities. This is very similar to て始める, to begin to do something. Very similar to that. This one, ていく. I did a video on て始める a long time ago, but I think it's still pretty good. So if you want to get an idea of how that is used, you can go ahead and check that video out. Maybe I'll put a link up in the description or over in the corner. One, I put out the stream cut. But anyway, this is very similar to that. 日本語を話す機会を増やしていきたいよ. 増やす. So 増える is one of the ones that Quartet mentions, and it's an intransitive verb, which means to increase. So you don't act on anything, it just is the verb to increase. 増やす is a transitive verb that means I will make something increase. So it's a transitive verb, right? You do something. 増やしていきたい means I want to increase something. I want to begin to increase something. 増やしていく means begin to increase something. So I'm not going to suddenly increase my opportunities right now, or even right tomorrow. I'm going to start increasing them over time from now. So 日本語を話す機会. That's what I'm going to be increasing over time. 日本語を話す機会. Opportunities to speak Japanese を増やしていく. Begin to increase. But in this case, I'm using the Thai want to. 増やしていきたいよ. I want to begin to increase opportunities to speak Japanese, you know? 日本はゆっくり変わっていくと思う. I think that Japan will begin to change slowly. ゆっくり. Right? Japan's not going to change overnight. It didn't change today necessarily. 変わった. If you were to just say 変わった, it would mean that it changed. It happened at some point. I don't know when, but it has changed. If you want to say it's going to begin to change, 変わっていく. If it began to change in the past, man, you've changed. You've begun changing. 変わってきた. They changed over time from the past to now. All right. A little bit weird when I actually say it all out in English. I understand it sounds a little bit weird, but you're going to hear this so much that you'll get used to it, I promise. Let's go ahead and jump into the dialogue. I'll read it slowly one time, then at full speed, and I'll get to the English translations, and then we'll do question time. まだ一緒に飲むことにする? あんまりいいアイデアじゃないって思ってきた. そうだね。でも飲めるようになっていきたいでしょ? まあ、もっと飲めるようになりたいけど、やめようかな。俺は安藤さんと飲まなくなったら、仕事でもっ と集中できるようになってきたから、もうお酒を完全にやめようかな。いいな。今週仕事はダメだったな。はい、full speed。まだ一緒に飲むことにする？あんまりいいアイディアじゃないって思ってきた。そうだね。でも飲めるようになっていきたいでしょ？まあ、もっと飲めるようになりたいけど、やめようかな。俺は安藤さんと飲まなくなったら仕事でもっと集中できるようになってきたから、もうお酒を完全にやめようかな。いいな。今週仕事はダメだったな。Let's go over the English translation. まだ一緒に飲むことにする？ Are you going to decide to drink with him still? Now, we covered ことにする back in Genki 2, but Quartet is actually covering this again to contrast it with ようにする, which we covered in the last lesson. So, we'll go over that a little bit later in the lesson. まだ一緒に飲むことにする? Are you going to decide to drink with him still? あんまりいいアイディアじゃないって思ってきた. I have begun to think that it's not such a good idea. So, the same situation that you might say, I've begun to think such and such a thing in English, you're going to use 思ってきた in Japanese. I've begun to think that it's not such a good idea. あんまりいいアイディアじゃないって思ってきた. That's the important thing. This is just like the English began to think or began to do something. So those are the situations you're going to use it in. そうだね. Fair enough. でも飲めるようになっていきたいでしょ? But you want to start to become able to drink, right? まあ、もっと飲めるようになりたいけど、やめようかな。Well, I want to become able to drink more. 飲めるようになりたいけど。But maybe I'll quit. So here we're using ていく。ようになっていきたい. You want to become able to start to become able to drink more, right? So you're not going to be able to become able to drink more overnight. It's not something that happens once. You have to practice, right? Just like anything else. So 飲めるようになっていきたい. If it's going to take time and you need to start soon, you haven't started yet, ていく is what you're going to use there. Long sentence here. 俺は安藤さんと飲まなくなったらwhen I stopped drinking with 安藤さん、仕事でもっと集中できるようになってきたから、I began to become able to focus more at work. から、so, お酒を完全にやめようかな。I'm thinking I may completely quit alcohol. いいな。Lucky. 今週仕事はダメだったな。This week work sucked. Question time. 健康のためにやってきたことを教えてください。健康のためにやってきたこと or してきたことを教えてください。Example. 健康のために週に3回筋トレをやってきた。So this example of what I want you to tell me says, for the purpose of my health, 3 times a week, I have begun to lift weights 3 times a week. I have begun to lift weights 3 times a week. That's the important part. Have begun. Excuse me. This is weird. My stream just like blew up for 3 seconds. It went from 35 to 75 people for 1 second, then dropped back down. I don't know what happened there. That was weird. Anyway. Yeah. So, 健康のためにやってきたことを教えてください. So, I'm going to give you the English for this one just in case people are confused. For the purpose of your health, what is something that you've begun to do, that you began to do in the past up until now? So, something you've been doing, basically. Please let us know. Let's see how chat's going. Just saying I love natto says come to Japan. I do too, but it's been giving me trouble. I had to sort of cut back on it. 黒豆納豆最近初めて食べた。美味しかった。Yeah, we had a black bean natto recently. It was okay. I wasn't a huge fan of it though. I don't think I love wasabi, but I feel like it didn't quite mix well with it. I might have to try it again without wasabi. Tebetes has come to Japan. Utteru to omou yo. Yes, they are selling it. Question. Did I get that right? That we don't use the kanji in iku? I believe you can, but Quartet doesn't. Though you can, I believe. We don't use iku, kuru, kanji in this grammar situation. Okay, maybe no. I feel like I've seen it, but maybe that's only with the teiku that means go and do something that I've seen that. So maybe not in this situation. None of the examples have it in any of the books, so I'd say it's safe to say not to use it. Ashita sagashite mimasu. Nice. But yes, I'd say it's safe to not use it. Konbanwa minasan. Joni Pagantelen. I probably got that wrong, and I apologize if I did. But konbanwa, how's it going? Thank you. I didn't notice that spike. Yeah, I didn't either. It just went away. I think YouTube is being weird tonight. Q time. 健康のために禁煙してきた。いいですね。Nice. Me too. I'll translate his sentence. For the purpose of my health, I quit smoking, or I abstain from smoking. Very good. I began to abstain from smoking. Huh? 何？あ、そっか。あ、ユキが？あ、なるほどね。YouTube glitch, indeed. Yuki's Q time is 毎朝アボカドを食べてきた。ニキビが減ってきたと思う。Ah, nice sentence. Okay. So Yuki's sentence is of course her sentence is good. But every morning I've begun to eat avocado. And I think I've begun to have less pimples, or pimples have decreased, have begun to increase. There it is. I think my pimples have begun to decrease, is what the sentence means. There you go. 健康のために毎日アニメを見てきた。Nice. For the purpose of my health, I've begun to watch anime every day, says Lee Ivan. Very nice. 毎日オンライン授業、授業が終わりになってから自転車に乗って家の周辺を回ることにしてきた。I feel like something there is weird, but hold on. 毎日オンライン授業終わりになってから、終わってからかな。終わりになってから is okay, but 終わってから would be easier. 自転車に乗って家の周辺を回ることにしてきた。Okay. じゃあ大丈夫。Yuki says okay. Nice.
毎日の場所。
そうそう、毎日の場所がちょっと、確かに。ちょっと自転車の、you might want to move 毎日 down to 自転車。そう、毎日自転車に乗って、家の周辺を回ることにしてきた。The 毎日 sort of threw me off. I don't know if you're talking about everyday online classes or if you're talking about everyday getting on your bike. I'm assuming it's everyday getting on your bike. So オンライン授業が終わりになってから、毎日自転車に乗って家の周辺を回ることにしてきた would make more sense if you're saying every day you're getting on your bike, because right now it sounds like you're saying every day you have online classes. They ended? Every day little confused there. オンライン授業が終わりになってから。それじゃない？多分その意味は he might be saying that every day when his online class finishes, he goes on his bike. 毎日で、その場合はなってくるんじゃなくて、やっぱり終わってから。毎日オンライン授業が終わってから。ね、だからね。So, okay, Michael. So. That's what I was thinking too. So, your sentence is fine if you mean that your semester is finished. So, your online classes are over. So, and you're using that kara to mean so you've been riding your bike around. But if you mean that every day after your online classes finish, you go on your bike, then yep, as I thought, 終わってから would make more sense. 授業が終わってから自転車に乗って家の周辺を回ることにしてきた。So やっぱり if that's what you're talking about, you should use 終わってから. If you're talking about your classes are finished, So every day you're getting on your bike. Then move the 毎日 down to before 自転車 and you can leave the other part the way it is. 最近洗濯機を洗う理由を少しだけ分かってきた。Oh, there's an old joke from the past. Lee Ivan, good one, good sentence. 健康のために週に2回断食をやってきた。Oh, nice, Jay. I want to do that too. That's awesome. So Jay's sentence is for the purpose of my health. I've begun to fast 2 times a week. That's what they said. And Lee's sentence, by the way, was recently I've begun to understand a little bit why someone would wash their laundry machine? No. Washing machine. Here goes my English. 健康のために毎日スポーツの動画を見てきた。Are you doing anything along with those? Anyway, very good.
私もジムのアニメ見てるよ、毎日。
ユキもジムのアニメ見てるんだって。Yuki's also watching an anime for a gym anime. マッスルのやつ。
そう、マッスルのやつ。
健康のために砂糖を切ってきた。切るんじゃなくて、
やめてきたんじゃない？
減らしたとかじゃない。There's two different, yeah, she cut it, so maybe 減らす would be better, ね。So since you're cutting out sugar, the verb you're going to use here is 減らす。So Quartet has a word, 減る, which means to decrease, that is the intransitive verb, but the transitive verb to decrease is 減らす. So you're going to use 減らしてきた. I find it better and less confusing when you translate the question and the answers from other people. I'll keep up with that. Sorry. I forgot to do that last week. And I remembered after when I was doing the stream cut, I was like, oh, darn, I didn't translate anything. Livio, 健康のためにほとんど水だけ飲んできた。うん。
逆に
ちょっと待って。
ジュースやめたってこと
かなほとんど水だけ飲んできた。
それとも全てのダイエットを水に変えたってこと？
そんなことないでしょ。多分他のものを飲まずに水を飲んでいるってこと。
ってことはやっぱりジュース飲まずに、ジュースっていうかそういうソーダ飲まずに水に変えたってこと。
そうだと思う。ならば大丈夫かな。ほとんど水だけ飲んできた。違う。ちょっと待って。なんかおかしいよね。そう。That's it. Okay, so we need to go back up. I got it. I figured out what's weird about that sentence. So let's go back up to the instructions. So if it's not a verb that implies change, like 減る or 太る or 痩せる or something like that, you need to use ようになってきた. So it doesn't need to be the potential. What you would say is 飲むようになってきた. That would make more sense. Soなってきた。飲むようになってきた。
なってきたでいい。
そう。So yeah, so you would change your sentence to where was it again? Livio. 健康のためにほとんど水だけ飲むようになってきた。So I became just drinking water basically. Anyway, yeah, if you're using a verb like 飲む or 食べる or something that doesn't necessarily imply change, you need to use ようになってくる or ようになっていく if we were to talk about from now on. I knew there was something weird there. Okay. Questions. Is there ever a reason to use 来る besides 来た instead of 行く in the grammatical construction? And what is the difference between ようになってきた and ようになる? できるようになる means, become able to do. It could be an instant. You might be able to become able to do it immediately, right? できるようになった means you became able to do it, but it's a point in time when you became able to do it. I became able to do it here. Whereas なってきた implies that you started becoming able to do something, perhaps, if you're using できるようになってきた. You started becoming able to do something up until now, and maybe now you can do it. You might not actually be able to do the thing yet. You're still working on it, but できるようになってきた. I've started to become able to do something, is what that means. Versus できるようになった means I became able to do it. So there's a big difference. It's not big. It's sort of subtle, I guess. But yeah, できるようになった you became able to do it. You can do it now because you became able to do it. できるようになってきた means over time you've been slowly becoming able to do something. Starting at some point in time doesn't really matter when. And maybe now you can do it, but it's emphasizing sort of that journey from not being able to do it to becoming able to do it. And now maybe you're not perfect at it yet, but you can kind of do it. You've become able to do it a bit. はい、どうした？
一個例文思いついたから。
Yuki has a good example sentence. はい。
なんかようになってきたと、
はい、
ゴーグルつけないでさ、泳げるようになるのはできるようになっていかなきゃいけないけど、ゴーグルつけるとさ、目を開けれるようになるよね。
はい。はい。
だからそこじゃない？
でも多分外国ではそんなね、メガネを外してできるようになったの文化、そのプール文化はないかもしれないんだからわからないかもしれないけど、ちょっと使ってみる。So in Japan,納
豆はさ、あれ食べれるようになってくるまで結構難しい。
はいはいはい。
だけどなんかさ、スペシャルタレがあればさ、わさびとかつけるといきなり美味しくなるとか、目をつけると食べれるようになるよとかがある。
そう。Okay. So Yuki's example, I'm going to go with her second example because the first one is sort of cultural. I feel like it might be a little bit difficult to understand. Maybe. I don't know. She's talking about natto in her second example. Natto takes a while to get used to for most people. So it takes a while. You start to get used to something. So over time you become used to it. So 食べれるようになってきた. I've slowly begun to become able to eat natto. But maybe if you put some special sauce on it, like a bunch of something, a bunch of soy sauce or something, maybe you instantly become able to eat it. 食べれるようになった. I became able to eat it because you just put a bunch of sauce on it. But, it's a little bit confusing. But it's that point in time versus over time that makes the difference. Okay. Q time 健康のため I missed a few. はい。フリペ健康のために毎日1時間歩いてきた。違う。歩くようにしてきた。歩くようになってきた。So yeah, that's another one. So 歩く is not a verb that implies change. It's an action verb. So it has to be 1時間歩けるようになってきた or 歩くようになってきた would be fine as well. So you became able to walk for 1 hour a day. If you weren't able to do it before, you would say 歩けるようになってきた. If you were always able to walk, it's just you've started doing it all the time, then it's 歩くようになってきた。はい。健康のために毎晩 so you don't need the ni there. 毎晩散歩してきた。Once again here, it's going to be the 散歩するようになってきた or 散歩できるようになってきた. Either way, if you weren't able to do it before for some reason, maybe you were too busy or maybe you couldn't walk, who knows, it could be that. Then you would say できるようになってきた。歩けるよう、散歩できるようになってきた. If you started to do it, then 散歩するようになってきた would be fine. なるほどです says Michael. Yeah. And that sentence is I began to start going for walks every evening for the purpose of my health. アボカドを食べたらニキビが減ると食べてみかsays Michael. Indeed. I forgot what's the difference between with change verb and non-change verb. Just the form? No, okay. So by that I mean verbs that imply change within the verb. So like 太る and 痩せる. 太る means to gain weight. 痩せる means to lose weight. So within the verb, there's implied change, right? 増える means to increase, or 増やす means the transitive version of increase, to increase something. 減る means to decrease, and the transitive version, so the one that you do, is 減らす, to decrease something. So those imply a change of some sort, right? herasu means a change from having a lot to a little. So that implies change. Whereas taberu is just a straight action. There's no change involved. You're eating. So that's the difference. A verb that implies change, one of those. Hi, do you have streams for Genki 2 second edition, the green Genki book? My live streams for the Genki quote third edition work fine for the second edition. I did not do, and the same for the Genki 1 live stream. So the Genki 1 live streams with the orange thumbnails that are for the third edition, they cover the same exact material in the same exact order. So they work fine for the second edition as well. I never did a Genki 2 stream for the second edition because what happened was I started doing the second edition of Genki 1, and then the third edition was coming out. So I decided instead of moving on to Genki 2 with the second edition, since a new edition was coming out, I just restart Genki 1 because I had a new format and everything. Like I had improved the format of my lessons a lot, so I wanted to redo it anyway. So it's not so much that the book changed dramatically, it's just that I wanted to restart because I had better content. So yeah, the newer streams are fine if you have the second edition. Thank you for the explanation. This grammar point seems hard. It seems hard, except it's very, very, very common. So the more exposure you get and the more speaking practice you get, the more you're going to see it's very useful and quite common. So it feels weird because it's new and it's a little bit complicated, I guess, but it's not that bad. I promise. All right. Our next section is only with shikanai. Let me go ahead and get a drink. All right. All right.
でも難しいよね。
まあちょっと難しいのは難しいんだね。
私もね、だってまあ私文章作る能力
でも使えるでしょ。
皆無だったからな。そう使える。なぜか使えるんだけど、作れって言われた。
Yuki's agreeing that it's a bit difficult of a grammar point for sure. She was helping with she was trying to help with making example sentences this week for this lesson for a change. And shikanai, yes, Genki 2 covered shikanai. It also covered koto ni suru, which is part of this lesson. But it's in the lesson, so I'm covering it just in case someone didn't do those lessons. So this one's going to be easy for most of you if you've already gotten it down in Genki 2. The last part, te iku and te kuru, was not covered in Genki 2. This section was. How's it going, Menkong? Good to see you. Yeah, so te iku and te kuru as in to go and do something and to do something and yatte kuru, to do something and then come back. That was covered, I believe, in Genki 1 or 2, but it's different. It's quite a bit different than this last te iku te kuru point. All right, let's go ahead and jump into only with shikanai. This was covered, as Menkong pointed out in chat, in Genki 2, I believe. So it's not going to be anything super new for you guys. But let's go ahead and cover it anyway, because some people will be new. Shikanai means only a small number of something. Only is generally what the meaning is, but it also means nothing but something. In the case of a number and a counter plus shikanai, it means only a small number of something, or nothing but this number of things. So it's emphasizing the small amount of something. Shikanai can be on its own. Nai is just the negative of aru, so shikanai means have nothing but this thing, or have only this thing. But you can also put verbs in here in their negative form. So shika tabenai means eat nothing but this thing, for example. Number counter shika tabenai, for example. Ikko shika tabenai. I'll only eat one, or I'll eat nothing but one. And that's emphasizing that I can only eat one. I can't eat more than that, for example. Only with a noun implies that nothing but that one thing can do whatever the verb is, or, well, you'll see with the example sentences. It's going to make way more sense with the example sentences. So let's go ahead and jump into ones with a number and a counter first. 昨日会社に2人しかいなかった. Yesterday there was only, nothing but, two people at the company. So, 二人しかいなかった。二人しかなかった would be incorrect because they are living things, so you need to use いる。いない to mean they're not there. しかいなかった。二人しかいなかった。There was nothing but two people at the company, or there was only two people in the company is generally how it would be translated, but it's emphasizing it with nothing but does have the sort of feeling of しかない a little bit better when translated in English. Next sentence, 仕事まで5分しかかからない。So here we're using another verb in this place. 5分しかかからない。かかる is to take time. So 5分しかかからない means it only takes 5 minutes. And it's emphasizing, しかない is emphasizing that it's a short amount of time. 5分 is short. Don't worry about it. 5分しかかからないよ. It only takes 5 minutes to get to work. Now let's do some nouns. So 今日、納豆しか食べなかった。So today I didn't eat anything but natto. I didn't eat anything but natto, or I ate only natto, but didn't eat anything but sort of, I don't know, it has that sort of nuance of しかない more in my mind. So that's why I tend to use that when I'm translating しかない. Today I didn't eat anything but natto. 納豆しか食べなかった。Next one is 日本の中でしか旅行したことがありません。So you can have quite a bit between しか and the ない. This is the more formal ない。ありません。旅行したこと That's a lot, right? But this is saying I have only ever traveled within Japan. 日本の中でしか旅行したことがありません。So it's treating 日本の中で within Japan as its own little noun. しか旅行したことがない。Yeah. したことがある, for those of you who don't remember, means to have the experience of doing something or to have done something in the past. So したことがない means I've never done that before. So 旅行したことがない means I've never traveled. Right? So しか日本の中でしか旅行したことがありません. I've only ever traveled within Japan. And let's jump into the dialogue. I'll read it slowly once and at full speed. Then we'll go over the English translations and we'll get to question time. 大変だった? Remember we were talking about Yuki's work. Yuki's work was terrible last week apparently. 大変だった? 大変だった。忙しくてお昼には5分しか休憩取れなかった。やだね。なんでそんなに忙しいの？会社は新しいパソコンを買ってくれたんだ。よかったじゃん。でも使える人は私しかいないので、みんなに新しいパソコンの使い方を教えなきゃ。Full speed. 大変だった？大変だった。忙しくてお昼には5分しか休憩取れなかった。やだね。なんでそんなに忙しいの？会社は新しいパソコンを買ってくれたんだ。よかったじゃん。でも使える人は私しかいないので、みんなに新しいパソコンの使い方を教えなきゃ。大変だった？ It was tough? 大変だった。It was tough. You could also translate this as just yes. Like in English, I suppose saying again, it was tough. In English, adds more emphasis, but generally this would just be translated as yes. 大変だった。忙しくて I was busy and お昼には5分しか休憩取れなかった。So 休憩取る means to take a break. I could only take a 5-minute break, or I could take nothing but a 5-minute break. So the emphasis is on how short that is. 嫌だね。That sucks. なんでそんなに忙しいの? Why are you so busy? That no, by the way, in case you don't know, I don't remember if that's covered in Genki. I think it might be covered in like a side note in Genki, one of those little things at the end of the lesson. No is the casual, usually in feminine speech, but guys use it sometimes too. I used it a lot. It's the question marker, sort of. It's used like a question marker in casual speech sometimes. Why are you so busy? なんでそんなに忙しいの？会社は新しいパソコンを買ってくれたんだ because the company bought new computers for us. よかったじゃん. That's good, isn't it? じゃん is a shortened version of じゃない. よかったじゃん means that's good, isn't it? でも使える人は私しかいない but no one but me can use them. ので、そう、みんなに新しいパソコンの使い方を教えなきゃいけない. Of course, it's cut off. So I must or I have to teach everyone how to use the new computers. Oh, ouch. This is semi-based on a true story. Semi. Question time. 家の中で数が少なくなったものは何ですか？家の中で数が少なくなったものは何ですか？ I'll give you the English translation just in case. What is something in your home which has become... what would the English translation be for this? That you're running low on. What is something in your house that you're running low on? That's what that would be. 数が少なくなったもの. A thing that you're running low on. For example, 牛乳があと少ししかない。卵が1個しかない。ケーキが1つしかない。sorry. クッキーが1つしかない。Not ケーキ。クッキーが1つしかない。So use しかない to let us know what's one thing in your house that you're running low on. そうそう、やった。Yeah, it's not too bad as Andy is explaining. Once you get used to it, it's regular, it's second nature. Yeah. You're going to run into it a lot. When you guys start listening to more content, reading more content, speaking more, you get used to it. It actually is it's just so common that you're going to use it all the time. All the time. The te kuru and te iku. It's just complicated to explain it, but not when you get used to using it. I have no idea if that makes sense. This coming to Japan Dan. Yes, I agree. Great English by me as well. こんばんは、ゆき。今日どうだった？今日はアンディと庭の草切りをしたよ。大変だった。メンコンは I spent 3 hours in the yard doing the yard work today. It was fun though. I like working in the yard. But every Sunday when I was going to do it, because we take Sundays off except for the live stream, so I do the yard work and stuff. It's been raining for the past 3 Sundays, so the grass got pretty long. なんだろうね。あんまり思い出すことがない。Q time. メダカの餌が少ししかない。Oh no! Medaka is a type of fish. Dan on his channel has been putting up Medaka fish videos. You guys should check those out. Some of them are pretty cool. Not especially, but he's also got this relaxing chill beats one with Medaka. But anyway, it's a small type of fish that are very easy to care for. But he's only got a little bit of food left. You better get on that, man. Ashita kao, says Coming to Japan Dan. Hi. Are there any differences between dake and shikanai? Thank you, Kalam. I should probably have mentioned that. I'll probably drop this into the cut. So, dake means only. It just means only. It doesn't necessarily put any emphasis on the thing being a small amount. Whereas shikanai, the emphasis is all on it being a small amount. There's only... Yeah, that's the main difference. I think this pointed out... Did it point out anything in this? It might not have pointed out anything in... Oh, yeah, it can. For instance, the same fact can be expressed with dake. However, using shikanai emphasizes that one student is considered very few. Yeah, the emphasis with shikanai is on the amount being a small amount, more than dake, right? That's the main difference. So, dake will only be translated as only. Shikanai might be translated as there is nothing but this one thing. Right? Yuki seems to have something to add to that. はい。
だけってポジティブじゃない？
そうそうそう。まあ文法的にね。でも使い方的にはちょっと違う。Yeah, but dake is only used with positive sentences, but that's like the usage difference. I feel like they probably know that.
They probably know that.
多分。
じゃあ。
バナナだけはあるとか。If it's bananas, we only have bananas, but it's not suggesting that like it'sでもバナナしかない versus バナナだけはある。
まあバナナはあってよかったね。
そうそうそう。So they both work. They both work, but bananaしかない is putting the emphasis on the fact that that's all we've got. All we have is bananas, whereas dake is saying, well, we've got bananas. Banana dake wa aru. Like, we've got bananas. So that's good. Whereas shikanai is like, banana shikanai. We only have bananas. So, yeah, it's the emphasis on negative versus positive there. Like, banana dake wa aru. You know, we've got bananas, guys. But banana shikanai. Oh, we're in trouble, man. All we've got is bananas. So it's that sort of, there's a mood there, right? It's a mood. I'd say that's what the big difference is. Let's cut that into the stream cut. Bananas in chat, everyone. Bananas in chat. トイレにトイレットペーパーが一つしかない。それは大変です。
やばいよね。でもさ、これも同じじゃない？一つだけあるか。
So yeah, okay. So let's use Petovnikov's example, Callum, to point out the difference one more time. So トイレットペーパーが一つしかない means we only have one roll of toilet paper left. Oh my god. Whereas トイレットペーパー一つだけはある. We've got one roll of toilet paper. We have one. Yay! Right? So there's the difference there. That sort of mood. Have fun with the katakana. No problems. If I know what the word is, I don't even have to read it. It's the wonderful thing about language. いいね。ドラゴン化を見てる? Oh, there's an anime. Okay, I haven't been watching it. Have fun with katakana. 水が4瓶だけ。そして魚が2つしかありません。I mean, I guess that works. If you want to use shikanai for both of them, you totally can. So you could say something like 水が4瓶しかなくて. So you remember you can treat janai as an e adjective, so you can use the te form of that to connect to the next sentence. So 水が4瓶しかなくて. So なくて魚が2つしかありません. So you could use both if you want to. Once again, the sort of emphasis there is a little bit different if you're using both. 水が4瓶だけ. Yeah, you can't. Something's weird there. 水が4瓶だけがあって、そして魚が2つしかない. You could do. You can't just end it there with だけ though. Right? It doesn't quite work that way. So 水が4瓶だけ. 水4瓶だけがある. あって、そして魚が2つしかない would work. But yeah, what I would go for there is 水が4瓶しかなくて魚が2つしかありません. So I only have 4 bottles of water and 2 fish left is what that would mean. All right. やばい says Yuki. Q time. お茶ちょっとしかない. Oh no. We drink a lot of tea here, so that would be a problem. パンが2斤? Oh, that's a new one for me. 2斤しかない. Nice. I did not know that one. That's a new one for me. I learned something today. Thank you, Spay. パンが2斤しかない。
でも結構あるよ、2斤って。
初めて見た。
1斤ってあれ、この
はいはい。
1パック。
わかるけど、ただ聞いたことない。初めてです。いいですね。パンが2斤しかない。I have only one loaf of bread left. We have nothing but that versus we only have that, right? I see. Thank you for the explanation. You're welcome, Callum. I hope it made sense. Bananas. Let me pop the timestamps on here. I feel like those bananas were super delayed. I wonder if my stream is super delayed. Maybe. 初めて聞いた。最近。
あ、それアニメの話で。
はいはい、okay, okay. I'm gonna skip that one. Thanks, I'll save it. Q time. ブラックサンダー一つしかない。
あれだよ、きっと。
ひどい would you want to say やばい there. That's what you want there. You want やばい。ひどい is like you're terrible or that's terrible. Sort of accusatory there. ひどい or that was terrible. You're definitely going for やばい there. やばい I'm in trouble. All right, guys, good answers. Got to get out there and go shopping, everyone. All right, our next one is something we've also covered in Genki 2, and that is decide to or make it a rule to with koto ni suru. We've already covered this one, so it shouldn't be too complicated, but we're going to contrast it a little bit with yo ni suru and yo ni shiteiru, just a little bit. That's why it's being used in this lesson, to sort of contrast those together. So, to use koto ni suru, which means decide to do something or determined to do something, we take the do or the nai form of a verb, so the dictionary form, or its negative, and koto ni suru. Make it a rule to, so something that you're determined to continue doing regularly as a habit, and you make it a rule to do it, right? Is the, once again, do dictionary form or nai form of a verb with koto ni shiteiru, so the present continuous of koto ni suru, koto ni shiteiru. So it's a habit. I'm doing it all the time. I'm determined to do it. Very firm decision. The difference between yo ni shiteiru, which we covered last time, and koto ni shiteiru, is that yo ni shiteiru, which I mentioned a lot in the last one, doesn't necessarily mean that you're succeeding at the thing. It means that you're doing your best to do that thing. You want to make that a habit, and you're doing your best, right? But koto ni shiteiru, you're doing it, man. You're determined. It's a firm decision. You're doing it every day. That's your habit. Eh? So you make it a rule. So this one is much more firm than yo ni shiteiru. So first let's do some yo ni suru sentences. それを言わないことにする. I'm determined to not say that. I'm determined to not say that. So I've been liking the translation of this. I'm determined a little bit better than I decided to not say that. Either one would be fine, but I'm determined to not say that sort of has that feeling in my mind. So, それを言わないことにする. I'm determined to not say that, or I've decided to not say that. Or I will decide to not say that. 明日早く行くことにします. I am determined to go early tomorrow. And it's a very firm decision. Like, you're gonna go early tomorrow if you say this. I'm going early tomorrow. It's like that. ことにしています. Sorry guys, let me get a drink. Alright. ジムの後にプロテインを飲むことにしています. I make it a rule to drink protein after the gym. So this one is, it's a rule. If I were to say ジムの後にプロテインを飲むようにしています, you're still probably doing it every time, but you're just doing your best. You might not be getting it done every time. You might not be drinking those protein shakes after every time you go to the gym. In this one, you are. You're determined. It's a rule. You always drink a protein shake after the gym. That's what this sentence implies. 月に1回お寿司を食べることにしています. I make it a rule to eat sushi once per month. Yeah, sure. We do pretty much eat sushi once every month, but it's not a rule. I feel like if we went 1 month without eating, it wouldn't be a big deal. So for us, if we were to say this, we'd probably use yo ni shiteimasu because, right, 月に1回お寿司を食べるようにしています because we do our best to eat sushi once a month. If it was us, real us, right, that's probably what we would go with. But the person who's saying this sentence, I eat sushi once a month. It's a rule. I have to do it. Okay. And that's it. We've already covered this in Genki 2, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's very much like our yo ni shiteiru. So I have a couple more examples in the dialogue. We'll jump into that. I'll read it slowly one time. Then at full speed, we'll get to question time. Then I'll go over the English translation and we'll get to question time. All right, here we go. まあ、でも、 新しいパソコンだから今後仕事は早くなるでしょう。違います。確かに新しいパソコンだけど、もちろんゴミなパソコンですよ。前とほとんど変わりはないよ。そうか。やっぱりやめることにした方がいいんじゃない？そうだね。近いうちにやめることにします。Full speed。まあでも、新しいパソコンだから今後仕事は早くなるでしょう。違います。確かに新しいパソコンだけど、もちろんゴミなパソコンですよ。前とほとんど変わりはないよ。そうか。やっぱりやめることにした方がいいんじゃない？そうだね。近いうちにやめることにします。Sorry, let's go over the English translation. And then I'll get to your questions and question time immediately after that. Alright, まあ、でも新しいパソコンだから今後仕事は早くなるでしょう。Well, but they're new computers, so from now on, 今後 from now on, work will get faster, right? 仕事は早くなるでしょう。I'm going to stop 1 second just for this. Joe Griffiths, thank you so much for the £5 donation. Would you ever do a lesson on yappari? It seems to be used a lot and have a lot of meanings and sometimes seems like it's used as a filler sometimes. I didn't do one, did I? I thought I did. Like I had plans to cover yappari and a few other ones, but I may not have. I will definitely consider that because I do want to make a video on fillers and stuff like that at one point. So definitely something I will consider. If it's not on my list, which I think it is, I'll make sure I pop it up to the top because that's one I definitely wanted to cover for a long time because that's something I spent a lot of time studying, those sort of fillers and things like that. I covered it. I covered it as a vocabulary word in one of my vocabulary videos in a bit of detail on the website and Patreon and stuff, but I never did a specific video on it, so that is something I have to consider. Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate that. All right, back into this, and we'll get to the rest after. Okay. 違います。確かに新しいパソコンだけど、もちろんゴミなパソコンですよ。Nope. 違います means I disagree or nope. 確かに you are correct. 新しいパソコンだけど they are new computers, but もちろん of course ゴミなパソコンですよ they are garbage or they are garbage computers 前とほとんど変わりはないよ there is not much difference from before not much is ほとんど or yeah basically the same 変わりはない not much difference from before here's a grammar point そうか I see やっぱり so that must be why you asked that question やっぱりやめることにした方がいいんじゃない Shouldn't you decide to quit after all? That after all here is this やっぱり Shouldn't you decide to quit after all? やっぱりやめることにした方がいいんじゃない Shouldn't you? So 方がいいんじゃない is that shouldn't you or with the じゃない Shouldn't you decide to quit after all? The ことにした is decide.And the reason it's in the past tense is not because they did decide, it's because we're using 方がいい, which means should do, and you have to have the past tense before that. So ことにした方がいいんじゃない? そうだね. Yeah. 近いうちに soon or before long やめることにします. I am determined to quit soon or before long. Question time. 週末に何をすることにしていますか? 週末に何をすることにしていますか? I'm not going to give you the English translation for that unless you absolutely need it. I'll go one more time. I want to emphasize this one point. 週末に何をすることにしていますか? Example sentence. 日曜日にレッスンストリームをすることにしています. That's what we're doing.日曜日にレッスンストリームをすることにしています。We are determined and habitually doing lesson streams every Sunday. So, one thing I didn't do is, regardless of what the message content is, Yuki always has to read out donations live on stream. So, Yuki, お願いします。
ついに
Yes.
はい。 ありがとうございます。ジョー・グリフィッツ。これ、私読んだ方がいいの？私読めないんですけど。Would you ever do a lesson on やっぱり？It seems to be used a lot and have a lot of meanings and sometimes seems like seems like it's used as a filler sometimes.
合ってるよ。
本当？ありがとう。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございました。
はい。Alright, yeah. For those of you who don't know, whenever there's a donation, Yuki has to read it, regardless of what it is. I didn't want to bring her on in the middle of the explanation because, well, anyway. But thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate that. And yes, I definitely will consider that. I can totally see the difference now. Oh, and good morning. How's it going, Jahaira? I remember when we were walking in New Zealand, we ran out of all toilet paper and Andy cut his shirts for making TP. That was a big time. Yeah. They were white shirts, so yeah, I cut up all my white shirts into toilet paper because we ran out halfway through our week-long trek in the wilderness of toilet paper. That was rough. It worked though. So if I get this, it concerns habits, what you usually do. The teiru form, right? していることにしている is like habit, something you're making a determination to do regularly as a habit. ことにする just means that it might be for a single event. Like I'm determined to go to, I don't know, Mexico. 日本語ではメキシコでどうやって言う？メキシコに行くことにします means I've decided to go to Mexico and I'm determined to do it. It's not a habit or anything, but 大丈夫。So the ことにしている is something that is more habitual. So for example, I go to Mexico every year religiously. 毎年メキシコに行くことにしています. That is more of a, habitual. So it depends on if it's in the teiru form or if it's in the dictionary, if it's in the not teiru form. Gojo says, come to Japan. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it. Sorry, I missed a question mark there. No worries. Arigato. Work computers are terrible most of the time. Oh yeah, so that's semi-based on a true story too. My old kindergarten that I used to work at until last year, their computers were terrible. They took forever to start up. And just the year I left, and I was training the new guy for a couple of days, and then the pandemic broke out, so I couldn't go back and train enough. But anyway, they got 20 new computers for the school. We only had 4 before, 3 or 4, and it was not enough. And we need ones for all the new teachers. And they got 20 new computers, and they were slower than the original garbage computers from 10 years ago. Brand new little mini computers. Slower to start than the ones from 10 years ago. I couldn't believe it. Like, seriously, you're going to spend money on 20 new computers? Get 10 that actually start. That's Japan. Japan does not value technology at all in companies. No value. Saving time with a faster computer is not considered a valuable usage of money in most companies. Crazy. 週末その週内に得られた宿題を仕上げることにしている。はい。だよね。もらったか。もらおう。その漢字はもらおうで使える？はい。もらうね。はい。So Yuki's saying you should use もらお there, not 得られた。その週内にもらった宿題を仕上げることにしている。得る is when you give something to someone below you, right? Or someone else gives something to someone else below them. You don't really say 得られた when someone gave something to you. You would just say もらった宿題を仕上げることにしている。いいね。So, for those of you who don't know, that means every weekend I get done. So, 仕上げる. I'm determined and make it a habit to get done the homework that I was given during that week. Nice. 毎週末 長い散歩に行くことにしています。している。Nice. Excellent. No worries, no worries. There's not too many people here today, so I'm able to catch all the questions. Sometimes, like on that very first stream when there was like 100 people, it was impossible. So that's when we made this queue time thing. But it does make life a little bit easier. So I'm not just reading random conversations about anime. Oh, yo. Have as many of those as you want. I love random conversations in the chat. That's what makes it great. 日曜日にアンディのライブストリームを見ることにしています。ありがとうございます、Lynn. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Q time. 日曜日にアンディさんの授業を見ることにしている。いいですね。ありがとうございます。Thank you very much, Spay. Netbooks? No, they were regular computers, but the size is like a netbook, but they were garbage. 週末に友達と楽しむことにしています。いいね。友達と楽しむこと。OK. Nice. 週末たくさん寝ることにしている。いいですね。今週の週末、寝ることにする。Nice. Okay. Question. I can't seem to be able to write Andy when writing in my computer. It turns into Anji. I have to copy it from somewhere. How are you supposed to do the D? D-I believe. You know what? I don't know either. I end up doing D-E, de, and then L-I, and then space. So D-E and then L-I. L-I makes the small I. I don't know how to write D without that. What could it be? Could it be G? No. G? The G かな? No. でも D どうやって書くんだろう? I don't actually know. So yeah, I always just do D-E-L-I. D-H-I. Oh, you hero, Kyushu Trail. Kyushu Trail for the win. Thank you. You just made my life so much easier. On D-H-I. Yuki also didn't know that. D-H-I. Hello. So yeah, I type Andali is what I've always done, but now I'm going to type D-H-I forever. On D-H-I. Oh my God, so much easier. I don't know why I never looked that up. Why it's my nickname, but it's my name that I've been using for literally 7 years now. And I never bothered to look it up. Thanks so much, Kyushu Trails. Appreciate that. Kyushu Trail. Yuki's asking, why do you, なんで知ってるの?私知らんし, she said. Why do you know that? I don't even know that, is what she said. It is working. Awesome. Spay got it in the chat before me. It's DHI on my keyboard. Nice. It was hidden below my name. I missed that. Spay and Kyushu Trail for the win. Thank you so much. Appreciate that from both of you. Both of you. How did you know that? All right, guys. The next section is... Wait a second. Let's give you a minute. Let's see if anyone else wants to talk about what they do on their weekends before we jump into the final section. I don't have work tomorrow, so I don't have to rush it. I mean, I do have work. I have to do the stream cut, and I have to work on my interview with Satori Reader. I did an hour-and-a-half interview with Satori Reader, and I have to cut that down to about 25 minutes. Unless people are interested in the full chat. I might release that separately at some point, but the actual video is going to be 20 minutes. So. Someone's making some noise out there. All right. It doesn't look like we have any other question times, so let's go ahead and move on to key expressions. Pun is absolutely intended. Absolutely intended. So, this lesson is covering 3 different expressions that use ki. It's just a kanji, but it's a word that you could translate the word on its own as spirit or feeling, or not feeling, but something like that, right? Feeling or spirit. So just ki. There's a bunch of different expressions that use this kanji, I guess, word, whatever you want to call it, ki. And we're covering 3 of them today. The first one we're covering is ni kigatsuku. So kigatsuku is the actual expression. Ni is the particle you're going to use before it to connect whatever comes before it. To kigatsuku, which means to notice something. Kigatsuku. So the first thing we'll cover is verbs. They need to be in their short form. It could be past tense. It could be present tense, whatever. It doesn't matter. But their short form. Then you need the no nominalizer or koto. either one is fine. So for example, 食べるのに気がつく. Notice, eat. Or 食べることに気がつく. Notice, eat. Right? You'll see in an example sentence why you might say something like that. Okay. For E adjectives, you also need no or こと followed by に気がつく. 気がつく is the part that means notice, right? So 楽しいのに気がつく. Notice that it's fun. 楽しいことに気がつく. Notice that it's fun. For na adjectives, this is important. You need to have なのに気がつく or なことに気がつく. That na particle needs to be there, and you also need no or こと. Very easy to miss. Be careful with that one. So きれいなのに気がつく or きれいなことに気がつく. Right? Now for nouns, we have two different ones here, and I'll explain why. So just the noun followed by に気がつく means that you noticed that thing. You noticed it. So for example, 猫に気がついた. I noticed the cat. The next one's different. Noun plus なのに気がつく or noun plus であることに気がつく. This one is used when you notice that something is the thing. Depends on the situation, right? But when the noun would normally be followed by da, you're going to have this. So for example, you have a dog. You have a dog, right? You noticed the dog. There's the dog. I noticed it. 犬に気がついた. I noticed the dog. But now, if you notice that it's the dog that pooped all over the house, 家の中にうんちしたのは犬だ, right? You notice it's the dog. Well, if you notice that, you would say, whatever the thing is that the dog did, 犬なのに気がついた. I noticed that it was the dog that did that thing. So, うんちしたのは犬なのに気がついた. So if there's a whole thing that comes before it and you notice that it was the dog, that's when you're going to use なのに気がついた or であることに気がついた when you'd have the da. Whereas if you just notice the thing itself, I noticed the dog over there, you just use the noun. Some more example sentences I have will be better. I thought that example would work better, but I didn't have the sentence on the tip of my tongue, so whatever. Anyway, 後ろにいるのに気がつかなかった. So this can also be in the negative, right? So you can say, I didn't notice that you were behind me. So we have a verb, いる, you existed behind me. 後ろにいる. So we need の, に気がつかなかった. I didn't notice that you were behind me. So here's one where we have the noun and we need なのに. So this will make more sense here. If we got rid of this first part, 友達がいい. If we got rid of that and we just said 人に気がついた. I noticed the person, right? But here we notice something about the person. So 友達がいい人なのに気がついた. I noticed that my friend is a good person. That's the difference there, right? Right. Okay. Excuse me. レッスンスライドの間違いに気がついた. So here, 間違い is a noun. So we noticed a lesson slide mistake. So this whole thing is treated as a noun, right? Because we have the no, the connecting no. So レッスンスライドの間違い. That's the thing. That's the noun. A lesson slide mistake. に気がついた. I noticed that. So we don't need no here because it's just a single noun it's a complex noun, but it's a single noun that we're modifying with に気がついた. I noticed. By the way, these are all in the past tense because you noticed something. You can use other tenses, but generally speaking, past tense seems to be most common because you noticed something. But you might say something 気がつくようにします. For example, I'm going to do my best to notice. So it's not only in the past tense. 一本のきゅうりがとても大きいのに気がついた. I noticed that one cucumber was very big. You wrote the sentence. I assume 外にあるきゅうりがちょっとでかくなった?一本。
あ、きゅうり?
うん。
きゅうり育ててない。
あ、育ててないんだ。そっかそっか。I guess we're not growing cucumbers. But it's そうだね。 very frequently there will be like one cucumber that is way bigger than all the rest. So, 一本のきゅうり one cucumber がとても大きいのに気がついた. So here we have an e adjective, 大きい. And you need to have the no particle after that. It could also be こと. So 大きいことに気がついた would be fine. 大きいのに気がついた would also be fine. Either one is fine. Our next expression with き is noun plus に気をつける, which means to be careful of something. A lot of you probably already know 気をつける, which just means to be careful. 気をつけてください just means please be careful. But this is be careful of something, right? So it's very similar to 注意する, to be careful of something like that. But it's 注意する is a little bit more formal. You'll probably see it on signs and stuff or in announcements on a train. Anyway, 車に気をつけてね. Be careful of cars. So not just 気をつけてください is just generally be careful. But if you want someone to be careful of a specific thing, 車に気をつけてね. Be careful of cars. Very simple. Just the noun に気をつける. 発音に気をつけるようにしている. I'm making it a point, ようにする, to be careful of my pronunciation. 発音 means pronunciation. 発音に気をつけるようにしている. I'm making it a point to be careful of my pronunciation. The next expression with き was noun plus が気に入る, which means to be fond of something. Now, be fond of something you might think of as like, to like something, but it's not quite as strong of an expression as 好き, which is to like. Also, you cannot say that, for example, you like music or you're fond of music in general with this expression. Like you can't say 音楽を気に入っている. You can't say that. You can't use this for general things. You need to use this for something more specific within a general category. For example, the first sentence. 最近クラシックが気に入っている. Recently, I've taken interest in or been fond of classical music. So I can say this because classical music is, so it's more specific. So you need to use 気に入る with specific things. Not big general. Like sports. You might be interested or been fond of recently a sport, soccer or something, but just sports in general. You're going to use 好き. スポーツが好き. With 気に入る, you're going to say something like サッカーが気に入っている. I've been fond of soccer recently, right? Something more specific within that broader category of sports. That's when you can use this, and it's not necessarily as strong or as heavy as a word as 好き is, because you could still use 好き with サッカー, but, you know, it's just a little softer. 文句しか言わない人が気に入らない. Now, 気に入らない is not to be fond of, and this feels a little rude if I were to say this is someone who was just complaining constantly, and I said to that person, 文句しか言わない人が気に入らない. I'm not fond of people who do nothing but complain. It's pretty harsh, but you can use it. I'm not fond of something. And that's it. Those are the only examples for that one. There's a few more examples in the dialogue, though. 気に入る. 気に入っている. It's very commonly in the ている form. I wanted to mention that because ている suggests that you still are fond of that thing. So even if you're talking about something in the past, you're generally fond of something for a period of time. So you're going to be using the ている form with this a lot. For example, if I used to like classical music, but I don't really like it now, I might pop this in the past tense, but it would still be ている. クラシックが気に入ってた or 気に入っていた, right? Because there's a period of time where I was interested in or fond of classical music, but then I wasn't. Pop it in the past tense. 気に入った not so much. So it's usually going to be the ている form, but for 気に入らない, it's just 気に入らない. I'm not fond of that thing because you're probably not fond of it now either. Dialogue. I'll read it slowly once, then at full speed. Then we'll go over the English translation and get the question time. 本当にまあ考えるかな お金がないのに気がついたから、もうちょっと頑張ってみるかな。しょうがないね。でも、体に気をつけてよ。気をつけます。さて、どこに食べに行く？最近、ドブドブラーメンってところが気に入っている。いいね。行こう。フルスピード。本当に？まあ、考えるかな。お金がないのに気がついたから、もうちょっと頑張ってみるかな。しょうがないね。でも、体に気をつけてよ。気をつけます。さて、どこに食べに行く？最近、ドブドブラーメンってところが気に入っている。いいね。行こう English. 本当に Really? So remember in the last section, Yuki was saying that she will quit soon. Talking about her job in that sentence. And I ask, really? 本当に？まあ、well, 考えるかな I guess I'll think about it. The かな is I guess. お金がないのに So the thing that she noticed, お金がない And that's a verb, right? In the negative. The negative of ある So 金がないのに So you need that no のに気がついた I just realized or I just noticed that I don't have money. お金がないのに気がついたから So もうちょっと頑張ってみるかな I'll try and work hard. 頑張ってみる Try and work hard for a bit longer, I suppose. もうちょっと for a bit longer. I suppose is the かな I'll try and work a bit harder. One more time. まあ考えるかなお金がないのに気がついたからもうちょっと頑張ってみるかな I suppose. しょうがないね Nothing you can do about it, でも but 体に気をつけてよTake care of yourself. Be careful of your body health. 気をつけます。I will be careful. さて、well, どこに食べに行く？ Where shall we go to eat? 最近、I guess they were getting ready to go out to eat when this whole conversation started. 最近、recently, ドブドブラーメンってところが気に入っている。I've been liking a place called, a place called てところ。ドブドブラーメン。いいね。行こう Nice, let's go. Question time. 生活で気をつけていることは何ですか？生活で気をつけていることは何ですか？ What is something in your daily life, 生活 that you're being careful of? 最近ご飯が美味しいから食べ過ぎに気をつけている。Recently, rice is delicious to me. This is Yuki-san. So I'm being careful of eating too much. So 食べ過ぎ is a noun. You can 食べ過ぎる. I don't know if we've covered. I think we covered 食べ過ぎる already. I can't remember if it was covered in Genki too. I think it was. So 食べ過ぎる is a verb, right? It means to eat too much. But if you cut off the る, you can turn it into a noun, which allows us to just put に気をつけている immediately after it. If it was the verb, it would have to be 食べ過ぎる食べ過ぎないように気をつけている is what it would have to be. We'd have to have ように there. But anyway, if you just cut the る and make it a noun, 食べ過ぎに気をつけている. I'm being careful of eating too much as a noun. That's why we're able to do that. Don't worry about that too much. It's a little bit complicated. But anyway, 食べ過ぎに気をつけている. What's something you're being careful of in your day-to-day life? 生活で気をつけていることは何ですか? Asking the real question for Andy to know the answer. Wow, looking forward to the video. Yay. Do both 1.5 hours and 20 minutes. Yeah, I think I might do that. I'll probably release the 20-minute version or 25-minute version or whatever of the Satori Reader interview, which was really good. Really enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. We covered a lot. I think it's going to be helpful for people. And if you're studying Japanese, I feel like it'll be a helpful video. So I'm looking forward to it. A lot of work though, because I have to cut down an hour and a half video to 20 minutes. So I've got to figure out what the perfect nuggets, like the nuggets of information, pull them out of there and make it into something that most people will be able to sit through. An hour and a half, maybe not everyone can get through. And then I haven't actually talked to him about it yet. I'll have to ask if he's okay with that first. But maybe I'll release the full thing as like a podcast separately or something. Extended cut. Hi, Andy. I'm currently on Genki 1 Lesson 8. Just wanted to hop in and tell you that I love the lessons and appreciate them. One day I'll catch up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Patrick Stano. Appreciate you stopping in to let us know. Always happy to hear that the lessons are helping people out. Helps us keep going because it is a lot of work and we've still got a lot of streams left in Quartet 1 and 2. I think I figured out today it was 24 plus 19, 34. What is that? 43? We've got 43 live streams left before we finish Genki Quartet 2. 43 left. Whew. When you think about it like that, there's a lot left to be done, which means only 10 more vocabulary videos to make, but there's 12, 10, 20 bonus sentence grammar videos to make. And 20 streams to make. And then, of course, the practice streams aren't so difficult. But can you use to in the place of ni? Where?
このキーエクスプレッションを説明してるさページに。
So like 食べ過ぎと気をつけている。Is that what you mean?
名詞の場合だと思う。
名詞の場合。食べ過ぎ is まあ名詞じゃない？じゃあ、for example, I understand. 気がつくのところ Is that what you're talking about? Continuation. Can you say then うんちしたのは犬だと気がついた。はいはいはいはい。で、ユキ has a point. はい。で、なんだって？
で、この気がつくっていうのは、
はいはい。
まあ、名詞のところしかとは使えないと思うんですけど。
ここね。
そうそうそう。で、プラス何かきっかけがあって、これだっていうそのだプラスとじゃないと使えない。
このところだじゃない？
そうそう。
だと、だから彼の文章は別にいけるよね。うんちしたのは犬だと気がついた。Yeah, so you can use it there. You can use it specifically there. だと気がついた。So, in place of the なのに気がついた, you could say 犬だと気がついた. And you could probably use it here. 犬だと気がついた. But you need the だ. So you need だと. You can't just say 犬と気がついた. You have to have the だ. So you could put だと気がついた. Maybe it's a little bit more informal. I'm not sure. But you could use that in this situation here. You couldn't use it with the verb. はい、なんだ?特殊でその断定の副助詞ってやつなんですけど、それがここにあるアサーティブオブザリティバーってやつ。はい、大丈夫。これだ、これですっていう限定の。はいはいはい。まあそのだね。はい。So when you're explaining that this is the thing that I noticed, this thing, and using you have to have the da though. Just remember you have to have the da. So yes, you could put that. That's the main point. Right. But only in that specific situation, basically. And not with verbs and stuff. 言うまでもない I would say there. 言うまでもなくお酒を飲みすぎに気をつけている。いいですね。言うまでもない would be fine, but you could use the very first formal te form and say 言うまでもなくお酒を飲みすぎに気をつけている. And that would be perfect. All right, cue time. By the way, for everyone that's listening, it goes without saying. 言うまでもない means it goes without saying お酒を飲みすぎに気をつけている. I'm being careful of drinking too much alcohol. Lynn says, 最近レストランで食べ過ぎに気をつけている。最近レストランで食べ過ぎに気をつけている. I'm assuming that た before 食べる is just a typo, right? レストランで食べ過ぎに気をつけている. Okay, that's why I went with the yearly subscription on your site. Figured it would take nearly a year, and plus all the perks you add to the website make it a pretty sweet deal. Thank you very much, Jahaira. I appreciate that so much. Appreciate the support from all patrons and people on the website. You guys help make this possible, to be honest, because it's a full-time job on top of my part-time job. And and Yuki is full-time ToKini Andy. So it takes all week to get this stuff ready. I just recently started being able to take Sundays off before the stream. Otherwise, there's no end to it. So I do appreciate the support. It makes it possible. Thank you so much. なるほど says Michael. Nice. 最近気がつくと睡眠時間短いになったら
なってきたんじゃない？睡眠時間
なってきたらLet me just check the rest. アニメを見すぎることに気がつい気をつけているか。だからか。なってきたから。はい、それね。はい、OK。最近、this is a perfect place for てくる。So, 気がつくと、睡眠時間が短くなってきたから、You could also say, 睡眠時間が短くなってきたね。短くなってきたから、アニメを見すぎることに気をつけている。There we go. Okay. Yuki's typing it out for you right there. Which means I noticed 気がつくとI suddenly noticed 気がつくとmy sleep time had begun to become short is what you should say there. 睡眠時間が短くなってきたから、So, アニメを見すぎることに気をつけている。So, I'm being careful of watching too much anime. Nice. Q time. 最近たくさんもの lots of stuff things. たくさんのものかな。たくさんのものをI see. So, すぎる, right? すぎる also has that たくさん built into it. Too much is built into 買いすぎる. So you don't need the たくさん. You could have it. たくさんのものを買いすぎるから. But you actually probably leaving it off will sound more natural. So ものを買いすぎるからお金に気をつけるようにしている. Good. The end there is perfect. So お金を気をつけるようにしている is perfect. But yeah, I would cut off the たくさん. It would sound more natural. And the meaning of that is recently I've been buying too many things, so I'm being careful. I'm doing my best to be careful of money. Be careful with money, or basically, yeah. 趣味をしながら夢中にならないように気をつけています。趣味をしている時かな。So, しながら means while doing this thing, I do another thing, right? They're not necessarily related to each other so closely as what you're trying to do here. So, 趣味をしているとき when I'm doing whatever my hobby is, 夢中にならないように気をつけています would work. So, しているとき is what I would go for there. 絶対そうだと思うときにはだとが使えると思います。So that's the answer from before. You also used 食べ過ぎ in your example, so I did the same. So is it wrong? No. 食べ過ぎ is fine. レストランで食べ過ぎに気を... That's perfectly fine. What I was talking about was in your sentence, Lynn, there was an extra た before 食べ過ぎ. I was just assuming that it was a typo, the extra た, right? The sentence was fine. Good. Just that た. I was making sure it was a typo. Walter Ditto! Hope you're doing good, man. I don't think he's here right now, but tell him I hope he's good. 最近, there's Yuki's example. Q time. 家を移動するから移動するかな移動 You mean move? You mean 移動するからお金を過ぎにはい。So you can't just cut the ru off sugiru anytime for any reason and to make it a noun, unfortunately. You can only do that when it's connected to a verb in its mas form. So like nomisugi, nomisugiru. You can do that, but just sugiru itself, you can't do that. So just so you know. So what you could say, Nikens, is okane o tsukai sugi, for example. Is something you could say there. Tsukai sugi ni kiotsuketeru. So I accidentally, with my example, threw in an extra grammar point here that everyone's trying to use, which is fine. It's perfectly fine. Excuse me, but just want to make sure we don't get too confused there. What would be easier for you to go with right here, Nikens, is just to say okane ni kiotsuketeiru would be fine. But if you want to say I want to be careful of not using too much money, then you would say お金を使いすぎに気をつけている。使いすぎ。But お金に気をつけている would be perfectly fine and probably easier to remember. Yeah, well, but also I'm not sure what you're trying to say in the first part. I'm assuming you mean you're moving. 引っ越す might be the word you're looking for. 引っ越す. So 引っ越すからお金に気をつけている might be something you'd want to go with there. If you're moving, that's the verb for to move. House. 安心のために安すぎるokay. 安すぎるパソコンに気をつけている。そうだね。そうだね。安すぎるパソコンに気をつけている。そうだね。You're being careful of cheap computers? Too cheap computers. I was trying to say moving. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Good luck on your move if you're actually moving. 引っ越している。引っ越すから。フィリピンの文章って大丈夫って思う？
大丈夫だと思う。
はい、ゆき says okay. Sounds a little 安すぎるパソコンに気をつけている。You're being careful of computers that are too cheap. It's a very specific situation, yeah. まあいいけど。Okay. The sentence is fine. The situation, if you're going for, I'm being careful of computers that are too cheap. I mean, if that's what you're going for, it works. Good. Okay. はい。
安いっていいことだと思ってる人
そう。
だから安いパソコンになんで気をつけるの？
そう。So if someone didn't know the story from before, Yuki is saying it might be a little confusing because people might yasui, the adjective, is generally thought of in a positive way. So if you said I'm being careful of affordable computers, that's basically what it sounds like you're saying. Many people would be like, huh? But of course, if they heard the stories from before that we were talking about earlier, it would make sense. But that's just wanted to point that out just to be sure. Yeah, regarding bad computers at work, yeah, I didn't use for the question time. Gotcha. Okay, sweet. But anyway, it works. The sentence is fine. All right, guys, thumbs up. 攻撃してください. We're at the end, so please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. There's only 36 people here, but there's 51 likes, so I'm assuming you all have. I appreciate that. チャンネル登録お願いします. Please subscribe if you haven't and hit the bell. I'm going to drop a poll. Did you hit the bell? Poll. Ask your community. Polls are fun. I should do them more. Thanks for the bananas, Meng Kong. Haha, Joseph Rayner. Andy looking good. Thank you very much, Joseph Rayner. I try. Although I've got this weird... Now, nobody probably noticed, but I don't know what this is. I have no idea what this is. It's weird... What is that? It's annoying. Yes! Said someone appreciate that. First is Meng Kong. Thank you. Check the website. Says Coming to Japan. Yes, please check out the website. That helps us out immeasurably. It keeps us alive. Someone joined. Someone canceled. But then someone joined. So thank you to whoever you are that just joined. Actually, I can see who. Thank you to Manuel. I don't know if you're here right now, but I appreciate you joining on the new website. Thank you so much. All right. arigatou gozaimasu. Says Yuki Sensei, arigatou. Thank you very much, Lynn. I am moving soon. It's so expensive. Yes, it's very expensive to move. It's never fun. I mean, it depends on how far you're moving and where you're moving to and all of that, I suppose. But in general, even if it's not a really expensive move, it's always stressful. So, 体に気をつけてください. Please be careful of your health. Stay safe. Get some sweet ToKini Andy merch. Oh yeah, I can do this now. I'm going to do this really quickly just to see. Pin merchandise. It's a new button that just showed up. I'm going to see what it does. I feel like it's going to be super aggressive and annoying in the chat, but I'm going to click it and see what happens. We'll see. I feel like it's probably going to... Oh yeah, it worked. Oh wow, that takes up way too much of the chat, doesn't it? I don't think I like that. It's huge, right? You can't even see what people are chatting. Oh, but then it gets small. Okay, it's not so bad. There's the merch store. Can you still join the YouTube perks thingy and get a weird thing after your username? Carpe diem, thank you for reminding me. I always forget to mention that. Yes, you can become a member here at ToKiniAndy.com, here on the YouTube as well, and get a cool name like Carpe diem in green. And well, you can't have the orange mark because that's for people who have been members for over 6 months, I believe. So Carpe diem has been a member for a very long time. Thank you so much, Carpe diem. Appreciate that. That helps us too as much. I believe the first rank is, what color is the first rank? I can't remember. Someone would have to join. I think it's yellow. Green. It might be green. The first rank might be green. I can't remember. But anyway, every month or so it goes up. Mios10, love the content. Started your Genki videos a couple months ago and I've caught up. Thank you for the work you put in. Thank you so much, Mios. I appreciate that. Good job on catching up. I'm glad you were able to make it. はいと決まっているのじゃないですか。はいと。はいと決まってるじゃないですか。なるほどね。20 votes for yes. Thank you so much. I'm going to end that poll. Thank you. All right. ありがとうございます。お疲れ様でした。お疲れ様です。お疲れちゃん。じゃはいだ。お疲れさん。Everyone. Some people will say that sometimes, guys. お疲れさん。There's the end of the poll. お疲れさん、お疲れちゃん. You hear that a lot. Appreciate that. All right, guys, thank you so much. I know this was a pretty heavy lesson. A lot of stuff that sounds difficult, but is actually all really, really common. So when you start getting some more exposure to, reading material and, I don't know, just watching Japanese stuff, you're going to see it a lot. And if you start using it more, you'll realize how a lot of this stuff, I'm actually liking a lot of the content in Quartet because it seems very specific, but a lot of it is actually just super common in daily usage. So you will get used to it, I promise. 精神保健を気をつけてください。も気をつけてください。はい。Indeed. ありがとうございます。おっす。皆さんお疲れ様でした。I'm feeling better today. I did have a rough week, but much better today. ありがとうございました。皆さん気をつけて。また来週お疲れ様でした。慣れたら慣れれば慣れるほど簡単、慣れたら慣れるほど簡単になるものですね。そう、それです。The more you get used to, yeah, it's the next lesson. The more you get used to it, the easier it gets to get used to it. かなthe easier it gets ね。The more and more you get used to it, the easier it gets. What's lube in Japanese? I have no idea. Probably just a lube. 辞書。なんか潤滑油。
なんかスムーダーみたいなやつ。
そう。潤滑油だそうです。ルーベクじゃない。これ。潤滑油。潤滑油。潤滑油。There we go. It's a difficult word, but thank you. 潤滑油。So you didn't know what the English was. I said that earlier in the stream. And I scarred some people. Sorry about that. またね、お疲れ様でした. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I'm going to go ahead and run the ad because we didn't do that today. But have a great night, and we'll see you next week for the practice stream. See you guys on Discord, see you on the website. I'm a little bit behind in comments on the website, but I will be getting to those tomorrow as well, and all of the challenges. So many people do the challenges now. Not nobody, but very, very few people did the challenges when I released them on Patreon. I'd say Sharon, I don't think she's here tonight, did all of them. And I think maybe 3 or 4 other people did the challenges. But on the website, because everything is so well organized, a lot of people do the challenges, which I love. It's awesome. But it's also a lot of work to keep up with. So I apologize. I'm behind a little bit on the challenges. If you are waiting on us to check one of your challenges, I apologize. We'll be getting into it within the next few days. Okay. All right, guys. Have a great night. お疲れ様でした. Thank you so much. See ya! 日本語喋れるようになりたいのか? Hold up. We already did this. We already talked about how you can use our Genki 1 and 2 and now Quartet course to improve your Japanese. じゃあ、これは何のため? We're moving. また引っ越す? No, we're transitioning from Patreon to ToKiniAndy.com. なんで? Look. なるほど。新しいやつの方が綺麗だね。Exactly. It's easier to access, it looks better, it's easier to add new content to old lessons. I'm super excited for it.
私も出てるよ。これからよろしくお願いします。
Come join us on ToKiniAndy.com today and kickstart your Japanese learning experience. You'll have bonus grammar sentence videos, textbook practice videos, listening and shadowing videos, vocabulary videos, tests, and you'll be able to track your progress through fully structured lesson plans. Hope to see you there. よろしくね。